Introduction to Evolution of Storage Architecture. So now let us see how the storage architecture is being evolved. So actually now we have information centric architecture. So before that we had a centralized architecture, server centric centralized storage architecture. So the organizations had centralized computers, and also they had storage devices in their data centers in earlier days. So they centralized some computers, means the mainframe computers it was, and also storage devices in earlier days it was tapes, and they had usually used disk arrays it was. Okay, so nowadays you have the storage devices, you have large number of storage devices. We don't use these tapes. Okay, so in the earlier days they had tapes and the mainframe computers. So the evolution of open systems and affordability and deployment that they offer made it possible for the business units to have their own computers or servers and the storage devices. So in earlier implementation of open systems, the storage was typically internal to the server. So in earlier days, if you see any storage architecture, the storage was completely internal to the server. Okay, we cannot extend the storage capacity there. So this approach is referred to as server-centric storage architecture. In this server-centric storage architecture, we have limited number of storage devices. We cannot add more storage devices. It is all limited. And also the administrative tasks such as maintenance of the server or increasing the storage capacity might result in unavailability of the information for the users. So the rapid increase in the number of servers in an enterprise or any company resulted in unprotected, unmanaged, fragmented islands of information, and this led to the increased capital, and also the operating expenses was very high. To overcome all these challenges, storage evolved from server-centric architecture to the information-centric architecture. So you can see here the evolution of storage architecture. So in earlier days, if you see this particular diagram, we had a server-centric storage architecture. So there were different servers, server 1, server 2, server 3, but all the servers had the storage, internal storage. So server 1 had its own internal storage, server 2 also it had its own internal storage, 3 also had its own internal storage. So whereas the newly evolved information centric architecture, storage architecture, has again the same kind of servers you have, but all these servers are being connected to the storage devices which is external. So storage device is external to the server, is it? Whereas in the previous case, the storage was internal to the server. Okay, so that is the main difference here. So all these servers are being connected with the storage network to the storage device. So here if you want to add one more server, think that you want to add for server 4, okay, you can add it very easily, and that server 4 will connect to this storage network. Okay, and again it will access the storage device from this pool of storage devices here. So in information-centric architecture, storage devices are managed centrally, and it is independent of the servers. So these centrally managed storage devices are shared with multiple servers. So when a new server is deployed in the environment, storage is assigned from the same shared storage devices to that server. Okay, so suppose if you want to add a new server, server 4, to the same environment, you can add it very easily, and it is going to share the same storage device. Okay, So this capacity of shared storage can be increased dynamically by adding one or more storage devices without impacting the information availability. So, but whereas the previous case, if you see the server-centric architecture, if you want to add a particular server, okay, it will impact the information availability for the users, okay, or unavailability of information may happen due to adding a new storage device. But here in the new source information centric architecture, it will not happen. So in this architecture, information management is easier and cost effective. Storage technology and architecture continues to evolve, which enables organizations to consolidate, protect, optimize, and leverage their data to achieve the highest return on information assets. Data center infrastructure. So under this topic there are again three more topics, that is core elements of data center, key requirements for data center elements, and also managing storage infrastructure. So there is one diagram for showing the data center, how the data center looks like. So here in the data center you have number of racks. So inside these racks you are going to place the storage devices, and also there are some cooling equipments that is placed to reduce the heat that is generated by this data center. So let us see the first topic, that is core elements of data center. So before knowing the core elements of data center, let us see what is a data center. So the organizations maintain data centers to provide centralized data processing capabilities across the enterprise. So any company or any organizations, they maintain data centers to store all the data that is being generated by the users. Okay, so these the data centers store and manage large amount of mission critical data. So that means, so what is meant by mission critical data? That means you are going to have sensitive informations or identity informations, or you say financial informations, or any national security informations. All these informations which are very critical data we say. So these are the data you are going to store in large amounts in the data center. So what this data center infrastructure includes? So in the previous slides I have shown the diagram of a data center. So what are the requirements to construct the data centers? So that they are, you need computers, storage systems, power backups, and also environmental control. So for example, you say environmental control, you say AC and fire suspensions. So here to construct a data center you need lot of power. Why? Because so many informations are being stored in the data center. To manage all these things you need more power. Okay, so if the power is more, there is lot of heat that is being generated from the systems. So to control all this heat that is being generated, you need environment controls. That means the ACs or fans you need to have in the data center. Okay, so the large organizations maintain one or more data center to distribute data processing workloads and provide backups in the event of disasters. Okay, so here when you say large organizations, for example you say Google data center, so or Amazon data center, okay, we call it as AWS data center. So they are the data centers which are managed by large organizations. See, these data centers are not present in one single country. The data centers are being distributed all over the world. Okay, so if you consider Amazon data center, the Amazon data center is present in US. So many data centers, their data centers are present in US. So some other data centers they have in Germany and in Europe also. Okay, so there are a number of data centers that is managed by all these large organizations. Okay. Similarly, Google also has its own data center, and controllers is one more thing. And even our Indian Army, that is also maintaining its own data center. So that is being recently launched. So there, this Indian Army, it is going to store the mission critical data. So which is very sensitive data, which should not be leaked to the other countries. Okay. So there, this if you say Indian Army data center, okay, so it also has to have the event that is backup data center to manage the data. Suppose if some disasters happen, natural disasters happen, the data that is being stored, very sensitive data that is being stored, should not be lost. So they maintain some other backup data centers also. Okay. So if one is lost, you can get the or access the data from the other data center. Let us see the core elements of data center. So here the main core elements of the data centers are: it needs applications, databases, servers and OS, network and storage arrays. So what kind of applications it needs? Okay, so what is an application? Mainly the computer programs provides logic of computing operations. So you need applications to run there inside the data center. Okay, for example, you say order processing system layered on the database, which in turn uses OS services for input output storage. Okay, so next you have databases. You need to store the structured as well as unstructured data. So for storing the data that is structured data, you need DBMS systems to store the structured data organizations. So this finally it optimizes the storage and also retrieval of the information. Next you have the server and the OS. So you need OS in any computing platform to run your systems, is it? So also you need servers also. Okay, and then you have networks. So if you are running an order processing system, then between the client and the server, okay, or you say server and the storage system, you need the network, proper network. Maybe you say client, between the client and the server you need LAN or any other network. Okay, and between the server and the storage you will be needing the storage area network. Okay, and then you have the storage array, a device that stores data persistently for the subsequent use. That means whatever the data you are going to store, for example, you say you are using Gmail, and this Gmail messages are being stored somewhere in the data centers. Okay, it is going to be stored for a long duration, maybe for 10 years, 15 years. Okay, that may be stored in the data centers. And devices that store data persistently means for maybe for permanent usage, you need those data very frequently. So now if you are accessing, you can access the data which is being messaged long back, maybe you say 5 years back also. Emails are being available in your Gmails, is it? So that is all because of the storage array, which stores lots of data in its disks. Okay. So a typical example of an order processing system. So here you have application. Okay, one application that places the order through AUI from client machine. So that means here you have a client is sitting here and he is connected to LAN, and then this LAN is being connected to the server or the OS, or you call the storage DBMS. Okay, and then the storage network is being connected, and finally your network is being connected to the storage array. So now here the client wants to place some order. Okay, some order is you want to place. That means, for example, you say a Flipkart you are using, and you are a client. Now you want to place an order for a particular product, maybe a computer or a laptop you want to buy. So you are placing an order now. So where this data that you have created is going to be stored. So the client connects to server over LAN and access the DBMS. So DBMS uses server OS to read and write the data into the database in the storage area. The storage network provides link between the server and the storage array. Next, you have the storage array that performs necessary operations to store the data on the physical disk. So you can see that here in the storage array there are many number of storage disks or physical disks there. Okay, so whenever you place any order, that order data is finally a data, is it? So that is being stored in this physical disks. Now let us see the key requirements for data center elements. To manage all the data that is being generated in the data center, you need some of the key requirements. So what are the key requirements? They are availability, security, capacity, scalability, performance, and data integrity. So now let us see in detail what are these elements. Now let us see the key characteristics of the data center. First one, you have availability. So a data center should ensure that the availability of information when it is required. Okay, so if there is unavailability of information, it may lead to loss in the business. Okay, if they are providing the financial services or any telecommunication services, the data center has to provide the information whenever the user requires it or the client requires the information. So next you have security. So that data centers must establish policies or procedures to prevent the unauthorized access to information. Okay, so the servers access only the allocated storage arrays. So any client, whenever he accesses the server, he has to access only the information from the server which is being allocated to him. Okay, not some other servers. Okay. Next you have scalability. So additional processing capabilities or storage on demand. That means business growth often requires deploying more servers, new applications, as well as the additional databases. So whenever you want something to be added to your current database, you have to it has to be increased in its capacity. Okay, it should be able to increase the storage or some or you say the more servers are to be added to the current data center. Next you have performance. All the elements of the data center should provide optimal performance based on the required service levels. So whenever you say you want some you Google something, okay, you need the information very immediately, not some very late. Okay, that means there should be high speed of network as well as the performance of the server should be very high. Next thing is the data integrity. So whenever you have certain informations that is being stored, it has to be stored in as it is. Okay, so error correction and parity mechanisms has to ensure that the data what is being written to the storage is stored as it is. Okay, and then you have the capacity. The capacity of the data center has to be it should be also able to be increased whenever you need, and also the manageability. The data center should be provided with easy and integrated management of all its elements. The manageability can be achieved through automation, and also it can reduce the human intervention in common tasks. So sometimes the robots also may be used to manage all the uh, things in data center. Okay, sometimes humans are also present inside the data center, but sometimes the automatic or automation you see, okay, uh, is present. The robots are also present to enter the disks into the storage systems. Next, you have managing the storage infrastructure. So there are some of the key management activities in managing the data center: monitoring, reporting, provisioning. So what is meant by monitoring? So it is a continuous collection of information and review of entire data center infrastructure. So it includes security, performance, accessibility, and capacity. So whatever elements, key characteristics of data center we had, it was including this security, performance, accessibility, and capacity. So all these characteristics, whatever you have learned, it has to be monitored now. So the monitoring means it is continuous collection of information and reviewing of the entire data center infrastructure. Okay, you have to monitor your systems, you have to monitor your ACs, or you say the applications, the network you have to monitor. So all these things, the data center infrastructure includes all these things, is it? So it has to be monitored. So as like a doctor monitors a patient's health, same way someone has to be there to monitor the data center. Okay. Next you have reporting. So it is done periodically on resource performance, capacity, and utilization. So based on the performance, you say whenever a large number of data is being entered to the data center, the performance of the system may be reduced. So that also has to be reported. And if the capacity, you need to increase the capacity of your data center. Okay, so that time also the reporting has to be done. And next you have provisioning. So providing the hardware and software and other resources to run the data center. So whenever you increase the capacity, suppose you want to increase the capacity of the data center, means you need more number of disks there. Okay, our disks array has to be installed to the data center. So during that time you need more number of hardware or software resources. So that is called provisioning. Okay, providing the resources, proper resources to run the data center, we call it as provisioning. So again, provisioning, so if you consider the provisioning, so we say that it is process of providing the hardware and software resources required to run the data center. So here the provisioning activities mainly includes the resource management to maintain the meet the capacity, availability, performance, and security requirements. So here it also includes resource planning. So what is that? Evaluating and identifying the required resources like personnel, or you say facility and technology. So this also we call it as resource itself. Okay, you say individuals working in a company. Okay, and you say some site is needed, is it, to construct a building, or you say data center is completely a building, is it? So you need a facility to construct that data center. So that is also called as a resource. So individuals also, site, technology, whatever these things, all these things are called resources. So you have to evaluate and identify the required resources for the data center. So now let us see what is virtualization and cloud computing. Virtualization is a technique of abstracting the physical resources such as computing, storage and network, and then thereby making it as appear as a logical resources. Okay, so you might have already used this kind of virtualization when you have partitioned your disks in your computer. You may be using two kinds of OS in a single system, so that is one kind of virtualization. And also you may have used virtual machines running in the same computer. Okay, that is another use of virtualization. So virtual servers are they which includes CPU powers, and also the memory also can be configured from the pool of computing power. And next you have cloud computing. So cloud computing actually enables the individuals or any businesses to use IT resources as a service over the network. Okay, so that is the main definition of the cloud computing. So this cloud computing empowers self-service requesting through the fully automated request fulfillment processes. So the main use of cloud computing is it enables the consumption-based metering. That means consumers pay only for the resources they use. Okay, so they may ask for CPU hours or the amount of data they want to store in a particular storage device. Okay, that is all. You pay. See, suppose if you want to store some 2 GB of data, okay, and you ask through the cloud, I want this much of storage. So you pay for that particular storage and you buy it, and you can use that cloud to store the 2 GB of data. So that is what use of cloud computing here. Okay.